Hello, my friends. My name is Kelly Dunlap. I am a wellness coach. I really specialize in mindset and metabolism. At the end of the day, I really help people to break patterns so they stop messing up their lives, or sometimes, depending on who I'm speaking to, sometimes I say effing up their lives. So, wanted to share an interesting topic with you, something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I love to teach about this because it's such an eye-opener for so many people. Oftentimes, people don't really understand what the metabolism is. They don't really know how they are operating in their day-to-day life, how it is truly affecting them in a negative way. And I am here to teach you on that. So, not a doctor. My mentor is Dr. Jay Tita, and I've learned so much from him. And so what I'm about to pass on to you is a lot of information that I have learned in my education and training through him, and also personal experience, in addition to experiences through my clients and such. I'm also an NLP coach, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. If you're not familiar with that, the mindset and your metabolism play such a intricate role with each other. And as a coach, it's important to me that there is an understanding that I'm able to teach that understanding to my clients. I have a signature program that's called the Metabolism Reboot Academy, and in that program, it's there's two legs to it, and because we have to uncover and discover all of these things in our life that are being affected, that our metabolism is being affected by when it comes to our thoughts and our thinking and the overall view of our world. So we're going to bounce around a little bit. When I talk about this, I don't have anything particularly scripted. I just kind of like to, go with the flow, so to speak. There are some images that I'm going to pull in and share my screen because I think visuals are really great for learning. I know for me, it's very, very helpful. And I'm also going to be sharing a gift with you. So I'm super excited about that. And that is going to help you with your mindset and your metabolism. Hence the reason why I chose to speak on how your mindset affects your metabolism. So first, let's talk about the governor. And what I mean by the governor, that is the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal. So you might hear people call it the HP axis, the HPA. It's called, different things by different people. And so the HP axis, actually, let me share my screen and I will show you a visual of this, is something that we all have. Then it sits like right back in here. And the HP axis is basically like I said, it's the governor of your metabolism. So it's think of it as a stress barometer, and think of your metabolism as such. And I do have an image to show you of just a visual of thinking of your metabolism as a stress barometer, because at the end of the day, your world, how you are operating in it, how you are living your life, is all being gauged by your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. Hence, then it is affecting your metabolism. So when we talk about, let me stop the screen share here. When we talk about the metabolism, most of the time people are like, I don't really get it. I don't understand. I have a fast metabolism, slow metabolism. People, they just have this belief system that they want this fast metabolism. A fast metabolism is not going to do you any good. A fast metabolism would actually just cause continuous hunger and cravings, and it would be a disastrous situation. What you want is a flexible metabolism. But we're going to focus mostly on how you can create that flexible metabolism, and how that is through mostly our thoughts and our thinking. So as an NLP coach, I want to share with you that something that's called the view of the world, and also living in cause or effect. And so fellow NLP coaches that may be watching, you're like, oh yes, I totally get this. I know what you're going to talk about. So I want to talk about the view of the world. And so it's very important that we understand that other people have different views, that they have a different operating system than you do. And you're thinking, well, why does this have anything to do with why does this have anything to do with my metabolism? It has everything to do with it, because it's our responsibility to respect the view of the world, their view of the world. And if we're not, then what is it going to do? It's going to create stress. Hence, the governor is going to pick that up. Hence, your metabolism is going to pick that up. So if you have a metabolism that is under stress, chances are your body, or the outcome that you are looking to achieve, you are not going to have that outcome. And, when it comes to your metabolism, you have to think about this as well, is that your body is constantly doing what I would call like data within itself, or continuously, let's say it's taking blood work or what have you inside itself, right? And it's always asking itself, can I survive or reproduce? Now, if you are somebody that is trying to conceive, for example, and you're not conceiving, I would say that a big factor is, and once again, disclaimer, I'm not a physician. This is just in my experience with clients and things like that, and learning from Dr. Tita, that chances are that you probably have a stressed metabolism. Hence, meaning that the way that you're operating in your daily life is creating a tremendous amount of stress. So I'm going to share with you a visual, which is what I call the NLP head. And why I call it the NLP head is because this is something that we refer to in NLP to help explain the view of the world and how we create internal representations in our mind. And an internal representation is basically like a movie or an image, right? So our subconscious mind, we're going to go to science class here just for a moment. So our subconscious mind is constantly recording. And I want you to think of this in toothpicks. So as you'll see where it says 2 million gigabytes per day, think of 2 million toothpicks, okay? So out of those 2 million toothpicks, your actual conscious mind is really only picking up about 126, something like that. And my numbers might be slightly off, but what I'm trying to share here is a significant difference between what is actually being recorded and what is actually being picked up, okay? So we have our senses, which are our visual, your auditory, your kinesthetics, your olfactory and gustatory. That's just basically your sight, smell, hearing, all that, taste, etc., etc. Now, when we have an event that we are viewing. So let's use the Super Bowl with J-Lo and Shakira at the halftime show. Now, you had two very polarized audiences. You had some people that were saying that viewed that as that was so empowering, that was so amazing. And then you had this other side that was just appalled by it. Now, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their view of the world. But if you happen to be on Facebook and Instagram during this time, there were a lot of people going back and forth because how dare somebody see something different than they saw it? Do you see? Now, that is unfair because, again, that's also placing an expectation on somebody, where that's also something that we really need to avoid, because also it's not as it unrealistic for us, but it's also creating stressors. Hence, when we create stress, what? Affecting our metabolism, okay? So we then will take an event. So let's say you have two people that witness the same event. They then take it into their own filters. We all have our filters of our value system, our own personal beliefs, our own decisions, our own personal memories. We then create this internal representation of what it is that we just saw. So two different people watching the halftime show ran through their filters. Their outcome was very different. Their internal representation was very different. So then it created this state of mind, hence the whole physiology part, which then created this behavior. Okay, so just so that you understand how the view of our outside world is so important to understand, and also it's so important for you to respect others' view of the world, again, because we want to keep those stress levels down. And also we want to make sure that we're not placing unrealistic expectations on other people as well. So that's super important to understand, right? Okay, so now the next image that I want to go into is, if you are, you know, a mom like me, when I saw this image, I was like, okay, yes, this is the busy badge lady, right? You know, this is the woman that is doing it all. She's, you know, trying to work from home. She has a baby. She's, you know, going on Instacart, getting the groceries, taking the dog for a walk, cleaning the house, making the food, dinner, all of that stuff. There's all these expectations. And therefore, we think that this is normal. You know, we think that, okay, this is just how it is, right? When in fact, a lot of these things we can outsource and we can ask for help. But part of the problem is sometimes we have a hard time asking for help for whatever reason. We just believe this story that it's just easier for us to do it because we'll do it better or get it done quicker or what have you. And you just want to avoid any confrontation. So you just do it. That said, once again, all of this going on is going to create metabolic tension. Okay. So it's also creating, you know, in the mindset, we might be not really realizing that. I want you to think about your subconscious mind almost like it's an app running in the background of your front screen, right? So that's always running in the background. And oftentimes we're not paying attention to the story that is being played in the background of our mind, which is what I call the operating system, right? And so with our operating system, we might be playing this story of like, oh my God, I'm just so tired. Oh my God, I could just scream. Oh my God, I wish, you know, my son would help me with the vacuuming. Oh my gosh. You know, so we've got these continuous thoughts going on in the back of our mind as well, which hence is, again, doing what? It's creating a stress. So really, at the end of the day, what it is that I want to share with you is that your mindset, the way that you are perceiving things, the way that your view of the world is, the way that you are interacting with others and possibly placing expectations and things, and also carrying this mental weight is absolutely affecting your thoughts and thinking, hence creating a stressor within your body. You're creating that metabolic tension because the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals is really picking up on all of this. So again, it's that stress barometer, and we want to try to keep our stressors down as much as we possibly can. So what is it that we can do? What are some tips and tricks that we can do in order to make this situation better? Well, the one thing that we can do is, well, I'll talk about this in just a moment. But one thing that we can do is we can utilize a tool, and maybe you're familiar with it, which is called tapping. And tapping it stands for EFT. I'm also an emotional freedom technique practitioner, and it basically helps you to release negative energy, which if we hang on to this negative energy in our mind and in our body, it's what going to create this stress. So wanted to teach you a little bit on tapping, why it's important, and also why it is a tool that is that could be life-changing, and also something you could use really quick and to help you release and move forward, getting rid of that energy, releasing that negativity, stress, and pressure, the metabolic tension that's going on internally. And that said, as my gift to the summit, I'm going to be giving my tapping program to you for free. So I'll just show you a little bit on how it works. But let's just say you are feeling overwhelmed with this pandemic that is going on. And maybe you're just a little bit, overwhelmed and stressed with having everybody around. Like, for example, being transparent, that's something that I've had to adjust to as well. I'm not used to having all these people around me all the time. I work from home, but I'm not used to having my husband and my 2 kids and everybody around constantly. I have 3, but I'm used to having my 2-year-old with me all the time. So, an example of that would be let's just say I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I just need some time to myself, or I just need a break. Or if you find yourself, saying that type of thing, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment, which is the cause and effect. Okay. When you find yourself like pointing fingers and blaming, I just need a break, that's more so of living in effect. And we'll get to that in just a second. So tapping, I'm just going to briefly show this to you because you're going to learn this when you go and get your free gift. And when you get your free gift, you'll just go to kellydunlap.com/tap, TAP. And you'll get that information also in the dashboard and all that greatness. So anyway, what I wanted to share with you is, this is an example of how it works. So let's say I'm feeling from a 1 to 10, I'm feeling an 8 of intensity, and I just don't like the way that I'm feeling. I could say, okay, an 8 is really intense, and I just feel like I want to rip somebody's head off. And so I got to get rid of this. And I don't like how I'm feeling. I know this is not doing good things to my metabolism. My mindset is in the gutter, and I've got to turn this around. So how do we start? So we start with what's called the karate chop. And we would say something like this: even though I'm really feeling uncomfortable and overwhelmed with everybody being home, I know this is only temporary. I love and completely honor myself. And you'd repeat this 3 times, and I'll teach this all to you in the program. Then you would go in and you would release the actual thoughts that you have going on in your mind. So it might sound something like this: I'm really not used to having everybody in the same room at the same time. It's really kind of stressing me out. And as much as I really should feel grateful to have everybody in the room at the same time and not have to worry about having to take Tommy and Susie to their activities, I'm really just having a difficult time adjusting. I don't understand what it really is that's bothering me. What is it? Do I feel like maybe I'm not ready to focus? Maybe I'm not able to focus on what it is that I have the task at hand. What is the true worry here? Gosh, maybe I'm just really worried that I'm not serving my community. Maybe I'm just have this story that's running in my mind that I am not doing good with my job and they're distracting me. I'm not really sure what it is, but okay, so did you see how I just had that release? Now, even though this is really kind of just stuff that I'm making up right now, my body has released, right? So I'll just kind of continue to go and say, okay, so there's so much going on here, and I really, really want to serve my family and my clients and those that need my help. That's really, I think, is what's really bothering me, is that I feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions. So I need to live in cause a little bit more, meaning that I need to schedule myself out better. I know pretty much, and everybody gets up. So maybe what I could do is wake up earlier, get those things done that need my 100% focus, maybe my posts that need to get done, or my client files that I have to do. That is probably it. That's it. Okay, so I'm feeling so much better now. I'm so glad that I tapped this out, because it's not just them being in the room. It's the fact that I had this underlying issue that I was believing, that there was a worry. There was in other words, when you tap, you are giving the fear a voice. So there was a worry there that I was not able to serve all of the communities that I like to be involved in, meaning my family, my current clients, and maybe possibly new clients. So I felt like I was being tugged in all of these different directions and wasn't exactly sure how to manage it. So then what else came out while I was tapping was, well, we have to take action here, and we have to make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly can in order to avoid landmines, as I like to call it. And we are going to live in cause, and we are going to take action, and we're going to make sure that we position ourselves in a way that we are able to give our 100% to those things that we want to. So that brings me to cause. Now, when we are living in cause, that means that we are taking responsibility for everything that happens in our life. So we are somebody that is basically saying, okay, I know that this situation is going on. What is it that I need to do personally in order to make my life function better and also stay out of that victim mode? So let me give you an example. Another example. So we could talk about like the home thing, right? But I'm going to talk about something that I think would, that really relays well to people, and people really understand and get this because they're like, oh yeah, or, oh my gosh, I've done that before, or I know somebody who did that. So here's a great example. So let's say you get pulled over by the police, right? So the person who is living in cause would say, okay, I'm taking full responsibility for this. I'm clearly being pulled over for a specific reason, and I'm very interested to see what the cop has to say. So the cop comes to the window and says, you know, hey, Sally, you were going 20 over. You were going 65 and a 45. Okay. Let me see your license, registration, all that goodness, right? She comes back and she says, you know what, Sally, I'm going to go ahead and give you a ticket, but it's not for the speeding. So we're going to save you for the points. I'm going to give you a ticket for excessive acceleration. Okay. So there's no points on this. There's just a fine. Okay. Now the person living in cause would say, wow, she gave me a break. I really need to pay attention. Clearly I was not being present. I remember accelerating, you know, maybe I just was thinking I needed to get somewhere in a hurry, and therefore there was that excessive speed going that 20 over. But man, am I so grateful that she did not give me this ticket that would haunt me for however many years that the insurance company would keep these points on my license. So then therefore it would cost me money in the long run. Boy, she really did me a favor. Whoo, thank you so much, right? Now the person living in effect, the way that they would see the world, the way that they view things is completely different. I can't catch a break. You know, this stupid cop, they just needed somebody to pull over. They must have, they just pulled me over because they had to meet their quota for the end of the month. Yeah. You know, great. Now I'm late. Now I got to call whatever, you know, I got to call my son's school. Let them know I'm running late, when actually they were probably running late in the first place before they even got pulled over, hence the reason why they got pulled over. But now they're blaming the cop. They are not taking responsibility. They are basically choosing to not own any responsibility, and they probably do this all day long, at home, at work. They're not very easy to be around. They're pretty difficult people to deal with. And, you know, that's just how they operate in their life. And the irony is that they feel that they don't have a choice in their life, but they're actually choosing to not choose, to have a better life, to have less stress, and to be in a position of leading a better life and having a better view of the world. So that is the difference between the cause and the effect. So why am I sharing that with you too? Because if you are somebody that is living in effect, I am telling you that the way that you're operating in your mind, those beliefs and the way that you are seeing things, that is absolutely 1000% affecting your metabolism, your stress barometer, right? And you are 1000% affecting that metabolism in a negative way. So I covered what? The view of the world, making sure that your expectations are not being, that you're not placing expectations on other people, and that you're also not placing unrealistic expectations on yourself. And that's going to lead me to my next slide that I want to share. And also wanted to cover again how we talked about living in the cause or effect. I mean, that is a really easy thing that you can change right away. I know for me, I have to catch myself sometimes because it's literally black and white, right? But you might find yourself bouncing in between the two. I know since this pandemic has been going on with everybody being home, I've found myself a couple times kind of bitching and blaming and I'm like, okay, wait a second. Hello, that's victim mentality. You can't help the fact that your daughter's 2 and she needs something and she really needs you. And so I have to really catch myself and say, okay, be a human, a next level human, be a person of excellence, lead by example, and really just stay over in the area of cause and be responsible for everything that's going on in your life. And again, you can be strategic with avoiding some of these landmines that could, potentially go off, because we have the ability to manipulate our schedules, or we can be proactive in certain things. Like, here's another example that I can share with you too, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Is if you're in a position where you're feeling like, oh my God, it makes me crazy every time my husband says unload the dishwasher or whatever. I'm just giving an example. And he always seems to say it around 7 o'clock. Well, my advice would be at 6:55, start to just unload the dishwasher, so then he won't even say it, period. Do you see? So there's these different types of things that we can do to be proactive in order to kind of cross out these possible things that could potentially happen. All right, so that said, I am going to move into what I'm calling my POP method. And I wanted to bring this and just to kind of pull this in together, because I think all of this ties in. And every time that I share this, people are like, oh my God, I never even thought about that, or I never realized that. So I'm going to share my POP method, and then I will be exiting and ending my my presentation for you. So we're going to go into what I call my patterns of power. So once again, as I had mentioned earlier, we want to be a person of excellence. We want to be living in cause. We don't want to be living in effect. And so really my patterns of power has a lot to do with that. So what is that exactly? What do I mean by patterns of power? So over on the left side, which I'm not sure if that's your left or right, as you will see, unempowered state. You'll see where it says phase 1, which is the dopamine hit. You're very outcome focused. Phase 2 is where you start to have some awareness of the changes that you're going through. There are some consequences or sacrifices that you might need to make. And then there's this uncomfortable hallway. So the reason why I wanted to bring this also to your attention is because when you're over in that unempowered state, and I call that the dopamine hit, for a reason, because a lot of us get addicted to this dopamine cycle, and I'll explain that in just a second. But in the unempowered side, that's very effect. That's very kind of victim-y. You're, always repeating these patterns that are keeping you in a very unempowered place, right? And sometimes people stay there because they're second gaining from being in this unempowered place. And what is a second gain? So a second gain means that somehow the person is benefiting from being in that place. So a very simple explanation might be somebody who is always complaining that they don't feel good when they could make these other choices in order to feel better, but they don't. They just keep repeating those same yucky patterns because they're getting attention from complaining that they don't feel good. The attention that they're getting is the second gain. So if they didn't have the ailments and they didn't have anything to complain about not feeling good, they're afraid of losing this attention that they have been gaining. Do you see? So patterns of power. So phase 1, dopamine hit. A great explanation would be if you were somebody that is always starting over. If you're finding, I'm going to start on Monday, I'm going to start tomorrow, or I screwed up, or, I wasn't perfect, and so this is what I call the dopamine hit, meaning that, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to be fresh. Everything's going to be perfect. I'm all or nothing. I'm either like you're perfect or a shit show. You're that kind of a person, right? And so that dopamine hit is something that is exciting and it's new. You personally, or you might know somebody that is constantly starting a new diet every Monday. Okay, guys, I screwed up over the weekend, so I'm going to go ahead and start again on Monday. Who's with me? Woo! You know what I mean? And so, they get just overall addicted to that cycle in general. So then that phase 2, that midpoint, that's basically when you start to see like, okay, oh, this is a little harder than I realized it was going to be. God, I thought I was going to lose 10 pounds in the first week, and here I am. I've only lost a half pound. Like, oh, is this really worth it? Do I really look that bad? Sally, do you think I look okay? Then they start to convince themselves that where they're at isn't so terrible. So then, they might keep pushing on, and then they really get uncomfortable, which is what I call that uncomfortable hallway. They start to get there like, oh, I really don't like the way this feels. So then what do? You know what? I'm going to start over on Monday. Yes. I just don't want to, because I got Sally's party this weekend, and then we've got that bowling event that we're doing, and I just don't want to, stress about anything. And then the next week I don't have anything going, so I will start then. I'll just start then. Yes, I'm so excited. Okay. So this cycle right here, very much like a start over syndrome, can tend to lean into that whole victim-y thing, and that whole cycle in itself is definitely not good for the metabolism, because what you're doing there also is you're creating this metabolic tension and pressure from this constant lack of consistency, what's going on in your thoughts and your thinking, your mindset, and all of this stuff, right? But let's talk about the other side. Like, what does that all mean? So let's just say you finally get so sick of being sick and tired, and whatever it is, like I always say, somebody once said, well, when do people start to really make the change that they need? And it is the fact that where they are becomes too painful. And until that comes, until it becomes too painful, and the discomforts that they'll have to go through between phases 2 and 3, until those are less painful than being where they are, then they will never change. So let's just say the person says, okay, I am just really so uncomfortable. This is too painful where I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and push through. They get very uncomfortable. We all know that change only happens in the uncomfortable hallways. Getting uncomfortable, that's the only way, right? So you have to get a little uncomfortable to create this new capacity, this new level of self, this new higher identity of you, this new way of living, this whole new empowering way of living. So you get through that uncomfortable hallway, you start recognizing that being over here in this unempowered state was really like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to think that. I can't believe I used to live that way. And then you start to feel more fulfilled, more empowered, more full of success. Then you start seeing things in a different way. You start to, pull in different things, different events, different people, different opportunities, And so when you start to feel more light and airy and happy and more confident in all of this, then what happens to the metabolic tension? It just kind of melts away. And then what happens? Body fat and all of this greatness starts to happen. So you might notice that let's say, for example, somebody who was very weight loss outcome, like I just have to lose this weight and then my life is going to be great. You might find that they started to make these other positive changes in their life, and they stopped, doing this vicious cycle of these vicious habits that they were getting caught up in that whole unempowered side. And then they started to just focus on those habits and just started layering those. And the less focus was on their weight, more focus was more on becoming a higher level human, a less stressed human, and the weight just came off. Why? Why do you think that is? It's because that metabolic tension wasn't there. So my friend, this is why your mindset has everything to do with your metabolism. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you found this valuable. I do hope that you just got such great value from this. And you can always find me at Kelly@kellydunlapwellness.com. That is my email address if you want to shoot me an email. You can find me on Facebook at Kelly Dunlap. My Facebook page is Kelly Dunlap Lifestyle and Nutrition. I'm also on Instagram, which is Kelly A. Dunlap, and that's Kelly with a Y, by the way. And again, you can go and grab your free tapping course just by going to kellydunlap.com and that little /tap, and then you'll be taken through the steps to get your free course. So thank you so much for taking the time with me today. Please message me, please friend request me, please shoot me an email if you need more clarification on anything, if you would like more details, if you'd like to just have a conversation. I would love to chat with you. Oh, and one more thing, you can go check out my podcast. It's called Master Your Mindset and Metabolism with Kelly Dunlap, and you can find me on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. So have a great day, my friend. Take care.